Welcome to Real Talk with Reginald D. I'm your host, Reginald D. On today's episode, I have T-Keyz Hawkins. He is an award-winning gospel artist. He's a producer, songwriter, host of a YouTube show called OMG LIT. Welcome to the show, T-Keyz. What's up, man?
Yes, sir, man. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, man, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule, man. You're a busy man.
Yes, sir, man. I appreciate that.
All right, T-Keyz. So tell us a little bit about yourself and where you grew up.
Yes, sir, man. So I'm from Greensboro, North Carolina. I'm, born and raised Greensboro, North Carolina. As far as the musician side, that pretty much ran in my family. Like my brother, he plays the drums. My other brother, he plays the drums. Their father was the one who actually taught me how to play the keys. You know what I'm saying? So like I've always had people around me that were musicians and things of that nature. So it was like I pretty much self-taught, you know what I'm saying? So music has just always been in the family. Preaching has always been in the family. That's on the music side. I'm married of it'll be 6 years. That's next year. So I'm actually a year early. So technically 5 years. I live here in Orlando, Florida, 6 years now. And so just glad to be here, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, sir.
We got a lot in common, man, because I come from a generation of pastors and preachers and musicians and things like that, man. It's a whole bunch of us, man. We play keyboard in it, man. We don't read music.
Hey.
None of that. Play by ear. We call it play by ear. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. And I'm a PK as well. My grandfather was a bishop, so I'll always play at his church, and you know what I mean, like from the drums to the keys, because I'm a drummer too. So from the drums, the keys, and then I took a break from that, and I was a trustee. It's so funny, man, but all of those things, man, had it cultivated me, to who I am today, and all glory belongs to the Lord, man.
That's it, brother. That's it. Hit it right on the head. So,
yes, sir.
So T-Keyz, let me ask you a question, man. Can you share with us your journey into like gospel music? Because here's the thing. If you grew up in it like you and I did, and I've seen it so many times where you have so many talented individuals that grew up and, like say PK kid, and once they get there, get old enough, they're ready to get out of this, do something different, join an R&B band or do something, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. Instead
yes, sir.
of staying into the gospel side of things. What inspired you to keep pursuing that path?
Well, on the gospel side, I grew up always in church. You know what I'm saying? Sunday, then Monday night, Monday, Tuesdays, maybe like rehearsals and midweek services. So it was like I was always in church. You know what I mean? And so I was just like, man, Mom, why do I got to go to church like this all the time? Like, what? Why do we got to go every day? Like, I don't understand that. Like, why? You know what I'm saying? So like, I was that kind of guy. You know what I mean? But then it really didn't start hitting until I started listening to Tye Tribbett. Mm-hmm. So like my love for church and my love for God didn't really kick in until I started listening to his music. And so like, man, I would listen to his music, day and night, man. And I think I showed my family crazy, like, man, like what is it about this Tye guy that's really drawing you like that? And I was just like, man, I don't even know. But it's just like his sounds, his word, his message. I mean, it really resonated with me. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if you know Tye, I mean, come on now. You know what I'm saying? Especially back in the GA days, you know what I'm saying? I mean, he was smacking, you know what I mean? So, but I would always listen to his message, his music, and it really helped cultivate my relationship with God. And it even inspired me to start writing. Real quick, man. When I was in school, I was labeled with a learning disability and all of that. So like my understanding and reading and things like that, I would take like side classes and go to summer school, and I would do all of that. Like the teachers didn't think I was going to make it. Some of my family members, they didn't think I was going to make it. So, but it wasn't until maybe my 11th, 12th grade year, I started making like straight A's and all this stuff. And it was like, man, well, where was all this like years ago? You know what I mean? I was just like, well, I was just so focused on, my purpose. I was focused on my calling, you know what I'm saying? And it was kind of crazy I know that now, but back then I didn't know that. You know what I'm saying? Um, but anyway, Tye Tribbett has always been, my inspiration. He helped cultivate my relationship with God, how I write, how I produce. And it was kind of hard for me to stay focused in school too, because I would watch some of his YouTube videos like on the sneak. So, but yeah, man, it's really has been a journey for me, man.
Well, awesome, man. But I'll tell you what, man, you talking about Tye Tribbett, you talking about a giant, man.
Yeah,
Talking about a giant.
yeah,
And I was at the Stella Awards this year, Vegas. When Kurt Franklin get up there and tell you, hey, better
yeah.
than you. He said, I
I
better than
thought
you.
that was like, what? Like,
Right.
that's crazy. Like,
Right. You know you own something.
yeah.
You know you own
Yeah.
something.
That was huge, man. That was huge.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. So T-Keyz, have you ever did any work with Tye Tribbett?
No, I haven't done any recordings yet,
Right.
but anytime, like the musician, the main keyboardist, sometimes like if they had somewhere to be or whatever, then, they would call me to kind of fill in. So it's really, a small situation. You know what I'm saying? I know sometimes things on paper or what it seems like, but really, it was just like, bro, I just need to just fill in right, in this spot right here. You know what I'm saying? So like, I'm gonna keep it real. You know what I mean? But the Bible also says, despise not the small beginnings. You know what I'm saying? So from that, and then plus, I was attending, rehearsals. Even when I wasn't playing, I was attending rehearsals just to be in the room, just to fill the room out. Let me hear what they doing. Let me, what are they doing right here? Like during this part of the service, what do they do? Because they practice all of that when they were in rehearsals or whatever. So I used to be in there, just sitting there listening and just being a sponge, taking it all in. And then when it was my time to be behind that board, oh my goodness. Yo, let me tell you, I remember the very first time I got the call to actually play. I was scared out of my mind. Like I'm telling you, it was like at this point we were at the Holy Land down here in Florida, and that was my first time playing. I've never played in no Coliseum. I've never did it before. So man, when I got that first time, that call to play for the first time, I was so scared, man. And I was just like, yo, like, why am I so nervous? I've dreamed about this. I prayed about this. I've written it down in my journal. I studied this dude inside and out. Why are you this scared? But man, they offered me that one time to play. And I kid you not, I never thought that I would play again after that time. But man, I'm telling you, man, but they kept, they called me again and then they called me another time. I was like, well, thank you, Jesus. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, any opportunity that I have, man, I don't take it lightly, and of course I can't take credit for it, all the glory be to the Lord.
Because you said something, you don't take things for granted, man, but you have to understand that a lot of times life give you moments.
Yeah.
And what you do in that moment is going to dictate what's going to happen next or what could happen.
Yeah.
So you got to take advantage of your moments.
Amen.
At the end of the day, I'll tell people, everybody looking at this long road and this whole big vision that they got. I'm telling you, man, you got to deal with each moment to get there. If you fail in these moments, you'll never get to your purpose.
Exactly.
So T-Keyz, let me ask you this question.
Yes, sir.
Your latest project, pre-party album, what was the inspiration behind it?
Wow, it was really the pandemic. So like the project is combined singles. It's like a compilation, if I'm saying it right, of singles that I had released over time. And I, just kind of like made it into one project. So like really those are like pandemic records that I did during the pandemic. And I just, combined it into one project. But the pandemic was what really inspired it. I was one of the ones that got laid off my job. You know what I'm saying? Along with other musician friends. And, we all were just going through it. And that project led to the OMG LIT show. And I'm pretty sure we're going to get to that in a second. But really it was the pandemic and just being laid off and like, Lord, like, where's my next meal will come from? Like, I'm like struggling. You know what I'm saying? I was having a hard time. But, God just he kept giving me songs and then he also allowed me to be in the room with people who I never met before. Everybody that's on that project, I have not sat in a physical room with yet. You know what I'm saying? And so to me, that was a whole blessing. That was God showing me, like, listen, I can provide, I can make waves even during the pandemic. You know what I mean? I got you covered. And I was just like, yo, like, that's correct. Like, how does that happen? You know what I mean? Like, but it's never, by my power nor by my might, but it's always by the Spirit of God, man. So, you know, when we all locked in the Spirit of God, He makes it all happen. That's all I know. That's all I know to say, man. God makes it all happen. So, you know, during that time, man, it was almost kind of like bittersweet. I was like, man, like I'm struggling, but man, these blessings feel good too, though. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's what inspired that record.
Yeah, he always come through, man.
Yeah,
We
always.
don't understand his ways, not always his thoughts, not our thoughts, man. But he always come through. And a lot of people, such as
Mm,
yourself, and
mm.
I've heard it, when the pandemic hit, man, a lot of people really found out who they really are and what their purpose.
Ooh, I'm telling you. I mean, 'cause I think divorce rates were sky high.
Right.
I'm like, what in the world? But God, He kept my marriage together. We never together, we've never, like gone without. It was just going through that season when I got laid off. I felt like I was, lacking in. I felt like, man, I'm supposed to, be the leader. I'm supposed to be, the provider of the household. All these thoughts that men would normally think. And so, just going through that whole thing, man, it was crazy, man. You know what I mean? It was crazy, man. But God still made a way. His message still got across, through the music and through the show, in which we're about to talk about in a second. All glory belongs to the Lord, man. And I'm gonna just keep saying that throughout the show, man, because I want people to know, like, no matter how gifted, talented you are, no matter who you know, what kind of connections you got, all the glory belongs to the Lord, man. So, forgive me if I sound like a broken record, but I just have to give credit to God, man.
No, 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 no. You get credit to God all day on this show, brother.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I know, man, I'm gonna be where I was if it wasn't for him. I'm gonna tell you that
Yeah,
right now.
hey,
Tell you,
I'm
I don't give
serious.
nobody no credit but him,
Yes, sir.
So,
Absolutely.
at the end of the day. But so what challenges have you faced in your career and how did you kind of overcome them?
Ooh, what challenges have I faced? Well, hmm, I faced a whole lot of them. One of them being support. You know what I'm saying? One of them is being support. I've went through that phase. Oh man, you sound like Tye. You da da da, and you think you this, and you think like people have like literally called me and told me like, man, like you know, people gonna ignore you because you sound like this person, you sound like that person. Da, da, da. Da. Man, I remember I was in Greensboro, and being that we both from North Carolina, I was in Greensboro, and this one engineer, he said something that was just so powerful to me. He said, "Bro, receive it as a compliment because people are actually comparing you to greatness." I was like, whoa. Yeah, like I've never heard nobody, say that before. And so when people hear and when people see the greatness that's on your life, regardless if, you sound like another artist or this person or that person, the fact that you can be compared to greatness, that's the big deal. And so don't be offended when people are comparing you to certain people. They're just mad because they're not as great as you are. You know what I'm saying? And I was just like, yo, I've never looked at myself as, the best or this, that, and the third. I've never done that. But the fact that he came out and said that, that pretty much gave me some type of peace, on the inside because I mean that thing was like really it was walking with me for a minute. I was just like, man, like let me change up my style then because I don't want to, I don't want to sound like I'm, biting or anything or copying and I don't want to sound like that. But at the same time, it's like when you being influenced and when you study, the Bible says study to show yourself approved. When you study great people, you implement the things that you've learned because you studied for so long. You know what I'm saying? And so I was just really going through that phase, going through writer's block, trying to switch up my style so I wouldn't sound like that. But then it just came a moment. I was like, you know what? It is what it is. I'm gonna have to accept it and receive it. And years later, I've won a few awards. I've been nominated for a few awards here in Tampa, Florida, and prior to me moving here to Orlando, Florida. So if it ain't broken, don't fix it.
That's it. That's
If
it.
it ain't broken, don't fix it.
And people
You know what I'm saying?
and people don't understand, man. They don't understand that they talk about sounding like this and sounding like that. But the biggest thing is you got to understand it's a sound. The sound is what draw. I hear songs, from different artists. Dietrich Haddon got a song and that sounds just like Prince playing.
Yeah.
It sounds like some of the greatest.
Yeah.
Music.
Yeah.
And you can hear a sound, and I was talking to my cousin. She's a gospel artist and a radio personality, Darlene McCoy. And so I was talking to her, and a lot of time we talk. She said, "Man, how you know music like that?" I said, "I can hear the sound. I could tell you who beat that is, who behind that music.
Yeah.
I
do the same thing.
Yeah, so it's the sound, man. And that's the thing about it. But like you say, man, when you compare the greatness, hey, man, it is what it is. Would you sell more albums than them? You might not, but then you might will. At the end of the day, because if somebody say, "Hey, man, that dude fight like Ali," So what you gonna be? You compare me to
right? That's what I'm saying. And I mean, when I first started out in my music career, to also, answer, your question about, my challenge, I also had like in the back of my mind, can I write? Can I, will people actually understand what I'm writing? Because I had so many challenges in school. You see what I'm saying? With understanding of, reading, writing, and all of that. And one point I was on medication. It was, a short period of time. But, I was on medication at one point, but I was also dealing with that. I was like, man, let me see. So like my very first song that I released was called OMG. And so I teamed up with a homeboy of mine. He wrote the song. I co-written on that verse just to see if I could write, just to see if people would like it. And so that song immediately was played on 90.1, and they are still playing this song to this day.
Wow.
They have been they have been playing my song. How many years is that? What, like 8 or 9 years? What, almost 10 years now? 8, 10, almost 10 years. Yeah. So I'm like, man, okay, that's what inspired me to keep writing. So, later on, it was everything gonna be all right. And then another project, I Made It. That's actually one of the songs that's on the Pre-Party album that I put on there. I've written that all myself at that point. You know what I'm saying? Because now it's like I'm confident now. You know what I mean? I got such a peace about the gift that God has given me. And, when I first released my song, I ain't never written nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't never written a song. But the fact that people kept, of course, you're going to have your haters on the back end. And then you're going to have some people that actually love what you do that aren't haters. So, but as long as, people was enjoying my music and it was still hitting radio in various cities, that pretty much kept me on the right path. And then the fact that on this project right here, the people that's on this project right here, I was like, oh yeah, I'm in that, oh, I'm good now. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, hey, so that's pretty much what has been, my challenge, from the responses of people, hating, you know what I'm saying? Like, ooh, you sound like that. Yeah. So from that, and of course, having that disability just stuck in my mind, you know what I'm saying? It was like I was still diagnosing myself and it ain't there. You know what I mean? Like, it's nothing but a ghost, you know what I mean? And I feel like, us artists, we typically, go through that, you know what I'm saying? Like, whatever the artist may have endured, it's like it plays in the back of their mind, like, man, do I still got it? Am I too old? Am I too this? Am I too that? So I mean, every artist, they deal with something, man. But that was my experience as an artist.
Yeah. I mean, and you're right about it. But when people start questioning themselves, artists or whatever you do, when you're walking in your gift, you start questioning yourself.
Absolutely.
Only because you are built for greatness. And you want to know, can I still stay on this level? You're not going to be mediocre.
Yes, sir.
You keep
Yes,
making
sir.
music all you want, but
Yes, sir.
to be
Yes,
great.
sir.
And so that's what a lot of people, hold themselves accountable to greatness, which I think is a big thing. And that does bring on, man, you get a little slow period, you get the little drought, and you're like, man, am I still the dude? Am I that?
Yeah.
So, but
Yes, sir.
that just comes from being great. So,
Mm.
T-Keyz, let's go into your YouTube show, OMG
Oh
LIT.
man,
What
yeah.
inspires you to create this platform, man?
Woo. So it was around 2016. I had this idea. Of course, this was like way before I got married. This was like, I was living with my grandma at that time. So about 2016, I had this vision of how I wanted the show to be. I already had the name or whatever. It was just I didn't have the right. I felt like I was missing something, like I was missing the people, or I can't remember, what it was at that time. But the fast forward, that was the vision that I had back in 2016. So now it's the pandemic. So now, we done released the music. Now we get ready to go into the show. I was just like, man, like everybody, they going through situations. And, I got a whole lot of artist friends, a whole lot of musician friends. No touring was going on. Nobody was listening to music like that. Well, some people were, but you know what it was during the pandemic. So I was like, man, let me keep these people encouraged. Let me keep them uplifted, along with this music that I was releasing. So and the show, it actually caters to independent artists. And I don't know if you're familiar with the show 106 and Park or not.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, so I was just like, man, like, what if I did something like similar, but made it more about God, not so much a churchy show, but something that will attract the unchurched. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody's not gonna come to your church building. You know what I mean? Everybody ain't gonna do that. So I was like, man, let me put out a show where we still representing God, but we still being ourselves. You know what I mean? Like we still, you know what I mean? We're not being like overly religious or anything like that. So the show caters to independent artists, small businesses. I've even done giveaways on there. So it was just something to keep the inspiration, keep people motivated. I didn't charge anybody to be on the show at all because of the times that we were facing. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to create it. I just wanted to create that visibility for art and small businesses because everybody was out here struggling. So I was like, well, I've even offered them the platform to sell their merchandise on the show as well. If they had any product. So this is pretty much me just giving and pouring in, and even to this day, I still run it the same way. You know what I'm saying? I guess for me, it's just to kind of keep me humble in a way. The show is never about you. Even though it's got your name on it, it's never about you. It's always about, serving people first because that's how you started. And I think a lot of, I think, what we've been seeing lately, we've gotten away from the authenticity of why we are doing what we are doing. You know what I'm saying? And so for me, I don't really put out too much music. I don't really, deal too much with the industry because it's real easy to get lost in it. You know what I'm saying? So when I put something out, when I do a little something, it's like I'm out, I'm concentrating, I'm talking to God, I'm spending time with my family, I'm chilling, and until it's time for me to do something else. So it's like, the moves that I try to make, I try to do it. Um, I try to be intentional and I try to be purposeful and not just doing something because I got a gift or I got a talent. And you know what I'm saying? I think that happens a lot though. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Everybody got a gift, everybody got a talent, everybody got connections, and we feel like we just gotta just but
Yeah, you hit it right on the head because I tell people the most important thing, I don't care about, what kind of gifts you got and what kind of talents you got and things like this. If you can't manage it, then you never get where you need to be.
that
And
part.
like you said, trying to get up here and throw out 100 songs a month and all that kind of stuff. Listen, man, if
Yeah.
you don't hear, if God, if it don't line up with God, if you don't hear from God, I don't do it. It could be one song a year. whatever the case may be. But if it's him, that one song gonna be fire. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, so that's one thing I admire about you, because
Yes, sir.
you see people, man, they just throwing out music left, right. I'm like, man, it ain't, you know,
It ain't just no substance behind
right,
it. You know what I mean? Like,
right. So,
yeah.
so what's next with T-Keyz?
Oh man, what's next? Well, I'm still, working on that part. I do have some more music. I've been flirting with an idea of wanting to write a book, but I want to see what God is doing in the next season of my life before I actually, put it in the book. But that's been on my mind a lot lately, though. It's writing a book about my journey and how far I've came, and from school to music, and just some things about my life that I want to incorporate in the book. But so far, man, that's pretty much it. Between the book, releasing some more music, and I don't know, we might do another show, another OMG LIT show. Who knows?
Right.
Who knows, man? So whichever way that God leads me, man, that's where we going.
You're a wise man. You're a wise
Yes,
man.
sir.
So let me ask you this. So,
Okay.
you have young generations and things like that want to get in, be a gospel artist, so see things and want to break into the industry and things like that. What kind of advice would you give them?
Stay authentic. Stay authentic. Remember the reason why you do what you do, because the moment you lose that, you're done. You're pretty much done at that point. So I would just say just stay authentic, stay true to yourself, stay true to your morals and your values, and remember that, this music industry is all that it is, and that's something that I've learned, being here in Orlando, Florida. There's going to be a lot of things in this music industry, or whatever industry that you're in, that's going to contradict, what you believe. So just, continue to stay true to yourself, and also have the right people around you, have the right company around you that'll help push you into purpose. So yeah, just stay authentic to yourself, stay true to yourself, and God will work out the rest.
That's it. So now I want to hit you in your heart real quick.
Okay.
So when people think of T-Keyz Hawkins, what legacy do you want them to remember?
Oh, well, dang, that did hit. I mean, just thinking about my journey, if I had to sum it up into one scripture, with God, all things are possible.
That's all you need.
That's it.
That's it. That's it.
That's it.
Because you got the word all things, so we're good, right?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Good. So, T-Keyz, lastly, how can the listeners support your music or follow you or support your show, OMG LIT?
Yes, sir. So I did not mention about the show and how you can find that, but I'm glad you asked me that. So the OMG LIT show is on YouTube. So all you got to do is just type in T-Keyz Hawkins OMG LIT, and then all of it will up for you. My name is T-Keyz Hawkins Hawkins, and then OMG LIT, and all the episodes that come on there. So that's on YouTube. You can find my music on Apple Music, iTunes, wherever you download your music. It's available there. My Facebook, T-Keyz Hawkins, everything is just T-Keyz Hawkins. And that's how you'll be able to find me.
Outstanding. Well, there you have it, T-Keyz Hawkins, brother, man.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you so much.
Bro.
Thank you so much.
I hope you keep enjoying that Florida weather.
Hey, man, I appreciate that. I appreciate it. I love it here in Florida, man. It's amazing down here. The weather feels great, except for when it gets cold. Right. I love it down here, y'all.
Right. So there you have it, everybody. T-Keyz Hawkins, thank you so much for stopping by, brother.
Thank you.
God bless.
God bless.
And anything you need from me, just let me know.
Yes, sir. Will do. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Thank you for tuning in to Real Talk with Reginald D. If you enjoyed listening to Real Talk with Reginald D, rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. See you next time.